Now the fun begins.
Budget.
Stop! You violated the law.
What is good, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Gamecast. I'm your host, Travis White, aka Travis, on most internet platforms. And today, I'm joined, as always, by my two co-hosts, Adam Marshy Marsh and Mike P. Pack. Adam, what's good? What have you been playing?
It's going pretty good, Travis. I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Still on the Fire
Still
Emblem.
on the Fire Emblem.
Nice. Mike, what about you?
I'm so tired of this. I'm so freaking tired of this. Go away, you freak. Stop asking me. You know the answer.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, it is a good morning there to you, little meat monster.
Shout out to the three people who probably listen to this who are Aqua Teen Hunger Force fans.
Carl's just hiding behind the couch and his feet are sticking out, obviously. And they're just knocking on his door and he's like, Go away. I'm so freaking tired of this.
Maybe that's what we should do, like an in-review series on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh my God.
It's a good one.
It'd be one of those things, I'd love to do like a live commentary on it, like we watch it, like Twitch stream, maybe for like a community stream. We would have to like probably buy the rights for the show, so we probably can't do that. But I'd like to do like a live commentary and be like, I don't know what they were fucking thinking of this, but this is fucking hilarious.
I feel like if we made a retrospective video, if it was transformative as like a review, we could get away with it.
Oh yeah,
Might not be able to be a stream.
True.
What the fuck are we? What question are we on now?
Yeah.
What are we playing?
Where are we at? Enough of the Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is the Gamecast. I'm your host, Travis White, aka Travis, like I said before. I've just been kind of grinding through Bioshock more. It's been going pretty good. I'm still digging it. I've also started playing a little bit of, and I forgot to mention this on the past episode, started picking up and playing Ori, the first one.
Yeah.
The Blind Forest. Fucking love it. Great fucking platformer. It's one of those games I knew that I would love. Like, I knew him for a while. I'm like, okay, that's definitely my type of game. I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
At some point. Yeah, I'll get around to it. But now that we have a date on when the sequel's coming out, it was one of those things that I'm kind of in between games. Like, right now it's a slow period on releases and stuff. Like, we're going to see Control come out at the end of this month, along with Blair Witch, which I'm really fucking excited for, and I think we want to try to maybe do a stream of that. It's we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, but I know we all want to play that together. So
I don't think we've streamed a horror game since Golot.
No, we
Golot.
haven't. Jesus, that's been
Golot. That was a good game, though.
Yeah.
It was really, like, when I was watching people stream it, they were having a lot more trouble with it. But, like, even when I was watching someone stream it, she was, like, fumbling around with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she looked at the map and saw the locations, like, the direct locations, like, the latitude, longitudes, and was running there and dying repeatedly. And I'm like, if you haven't figured it out yet, those are where the bad guys are. Like, don't go there.
Do not go there. Highly suggested, do not go there. But, yeah, it's that time of year where we're pretty soon going to be getting back into big releases and things like that. Gears 5 is coming up, too. So, right now, with the fall kind of looming in the distance, it's been some time to kind of catch up on backlog stuff and, try some different things that I've been like, eventually I'll get around to it. And it's a short game. I think it's only maybe 6-8 hours at the very most, something like that. So I'll probably get that finished relatively soon. But enjoying it so far. Yeah. But enough about that. Let's get into the meat of the show here. Housekeeping before we start, though. As I mentioned before, our YouTube channel name has changed from Bonus Accessory to Gamecast. If you've previously been subscribed to the channel, you will already be subscribed. The new name change has nothing to do really with you at all. Not like you are good to go moving forward. You're already going to be automatically subscribed, but it will help streamline getting our content to new users and helping you share that directly instead of having it under a overview name. It's just directly Game Pass, 2-word Gamecast 1, just like the show. So be sure to check us out on there if you have not. Moving into the news here, before we start to go into our game of the week this week, which is Fable. Quick news, I just wanted to touch on this. Came out like last week, I think, but we didn't have time on our party chat episode to talk about it. So IGN put out this article that's from a interview with Frank O'Connor who is the franchise development director on Halo, he's always one of those guys you see kind of a pillar of the Halo franchise for a long time now. But he put out a statement. He had an interview with a YouTuber, Black Mist 523. He linked up with Frank O'Connor during Halo Outpost. I believe it was the Chicago one, if I'm correct. But he did get a quote from Frank saying that Halo Infinite's Xbox One version, which, yes, Halo Infinite will still be coming out on Xbox One, along with Xbox Scarlet. It won't be a quote-unquote second-class citizen comparative to the Xbox Scarlet edition. Frank said the following: obviously, the special citizen for Halo Infinite will be Scarlet, and we worked with that hardware team to make sure that the game shows up pretty amazingly on it. But it will also be for Xbox One, and it will look incredible. The Xbox One is not going to be a second-class citizen, he said. We're building it so it plays and looks fantastic on Xbox One, and then everything else is plus, 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 and just gravy. But we've got a few tricks up our sleeve that we're thinking about. This time, it's going to be up to you to decide. Is it going to be Scarlet or PC? It kind of depends on your PC at that point, said Connor, seemingly hinting that it depends on whether you have a rig with better specs, the new Xbox console, end quote. That's stuff that a lot of people already know. So, let me just open up real quick to you guys before we jump into the meat of our show. To me, this kind of lines up with a lot of what Microsoft has been hinting at and what a lot of people within the industry have kind of been thinking that Microsoft will do, and it seems like it does line up with their, hey, all we care about is that you're playing our games. We want you to play our games. Xbox is here for the gamers, and we don't care how you play it. If you play it on your phone, if you play it on Xbox One X, play it on an Xbox One release console, or Project Scarlet, whatever. We just want you playing our games, and we don't care how you get them. So, to me, that lines up a lot with what they're saying, and to me, it does seem like what I keep thinking Scarlet and the next gen of Xbox is going to be in more of a... It'll still be to an extent, your traditional console experience, but it'll feel more iterative. It'll still feel like a leap, but it will be more of an Xbox. Like, Xbox will be a platform now. It won't be, the jump from 360 to 1, where it'll be like, oh yeah, that Xbox One game, like, it'll seem like everything is like backwards compact, almost. Like, it'll just feel more, you're just playing Xbox. You're not playing Xbox One, Xbox One X, Xbox Scarlet, whatever. You're just playing Xbox. What do you guys think?
I'm in agreement. I think it seems like they're trying to go more towards a unified brand, no matter what specific hardware you're working with. They want you to have probably some piece of their hardware in your hands to play with.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like they're also catering to you if you're, for instance, not willing to buy the newest and the best and the cutting edge. It's going to feel like a more consistent experience across all of their consoles. Is that right? Are some of Xbox's games also going to be available on PC now?
Yes. They've done a lot with their Play Anywhere initiative with a lot of their Xbox exclusive games. You've seen it with Gears of War 4, Sea of Thieves, games like that. A lot of their newer titles, really all of them except for Halo 5, because I think they started that after post-Halo 5 there. Play Anywhere initiative. But basically, you buy an Xbox One version of the game, you get the PC version included with it. So they're making them pretty much dual releases.
Okay. I mean, I was looking forward to playing Halo Reach on PC in 60 frames per second when they finally bring that out. Hopefully they continue that trend going forward where they support the PC as a viable Xbox platform. I don't know if I'll buy into Scarlet when it comes out. I think it's likely, because I might end up skipping over the Xbox One S and One X, because I feel like we're almost reaching the end of that, and I'm like, I've lasted this long, but we'll see where it goes. It might end up just replacing my PC, in which case, hopefully, I'll still have a place to go with Xbox.
No, absolutely. I think it's all but confirmed that you will. Like I said, for me, it just feels like they're more worried about, hey, we want you playing Xbox. We want you playing in the Xbox ecosystem. We don't care how you play it. As long as you're playing your games on Xbox and you're playing Xbox games, that's all we care about.
It's good to see that they're going to give at least a solid treatment to...
Because cross-gen titles are weird, man. Yeah. Like, they are. It's either the release that comes out on the newer console is obviously the definitive or whatever you have, and the 360 version or the previous gen version, whatever you want to call it, is the kind of, it's got the scraps. It's got the bugs. It's got, like, not as much content. Or it's vice versa. Like, you see it a lot with like sports games and things like that whenever they're first coming over to new-gen consoles. It's the previous generation has all the bells and whistles, and the new one kind of has, like, maybe a season mode, and that's about it. So, it kind of goes either way. And it's nice to see that it's literally, you're getting the same experience from a gameplay aspect and quality aspect across the spectrum with Xbox. Outside of, hey, do you want to play it in 4K 120? Or 4K 60, or whatever they're going to provide you with Scarlet. So, but yeah. Mike, what do you think? Just real quick.
I mean, I'm going to buy Xbox Scarlet, so I'm going to experience the game in the best that it has to offer. I think it's great I think it is great that they're going to still offer it on Xbox One. Obviously, it's going to be hard to optimize the game for two different systems, but I think that they're going to do it. Obviously, computer games, you can turn the graphics down, so I'm sure that's just going to be like, it'll just automatically be turned down graphics on the Xbox One. So you're not going to notice that much. Like, there's going to be a huge difference, but gameplay-wise, I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference. I think it's a win-win for everybody involved. I think the people who can't afford the Scarlet will get to enjoy the brand new Halo, and people who want to invest in that Scarlet, the hardcore Halo fans like myself, will get it in the best experience that we can get it. So that's my 2 cents on it, for sure.
No, absolutely. And once again, it just goes back to their initiative of how we've talked in previous episodes. Xbox has taken its lumps this past console generation.
For sure.
They've, like before we were saying, I think they only sold maybe like 34 million units or something like that. They won't come out and say a hard number, but a lot of people guesstimate.
PS4 is up to like 100 million.
Yeah, so it's obviously a landslide victory for Sony, which, as just gamers in general, there's no hill that really I die on.
Yeah.
I want to see everybody do good. I want to see both, like we said before, competition, it just gets the best out of.
I think the previous generation saw the opposite. Like,
yes,
the 360 won out over the PS3 because it was late to market.
Yeah, and granted, PS3 did catch up at the end.
Yeah,
I think it actually outsold 360, but it was more of those. It was the people who weren't adopting PS4 and wanted to get on the the Sony train and still play Sony exclusive games that they're hearing all about. Yeah, and it's such a lower price point at that point.
If you go back generation after generation, you'll see that the console wars keep trading wins and losses. So I think you're just seeing the pendulum swing back towards Xbox next season.
Yeah. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our game of the week. And this game is Fable. So, the release that's on Xbox Game Pass is Fable Anniversary, but Fable Anniversary is basically just an up-res version of the game, quote-unquote, Game of the Year edition of Fable, which is considered Fable the Lost Chapter. So, before we dive all into that, let me give you kind of a shotgun blast of information here. So, Fable was first released on September 14, 2004 on the original Xbox. It was developed by Blue Box Studios, which was a satellite studio of Peter Molyneux's Lionhead Studio, which is the studio that ultimately kind of took over the reins of the whole franchise until it closed down in 2016. This was really Microsoft Studios' first RPG title, like flagship tentpole title, to release on the Xbox console. It was originally actually under the development title Project Ego, but what's unique about that was it was actually in development for the Sega Dreamcast. Yeah, so it was a Dreamcast like exclusive game that was coming directly to there until obviously the Dreamcast was discontinued, and then
imagine that.
Yeah, that was then they were pitching the game around, and Microsoft ended up offering the money to them to publish it, and yeah, but crazy.
Good look right there.
Yeah. So, anyways, though, Fable, though, it's based on your kind of prototypical European high fantasy, but Fable follows a young child whose family is killed in front of him, and his village is burnt. So, on your sister's birthday, you're coming back, and boom, bandits come in, they fucking kill your whole family, they burn that bitch to the ground. But you are then rescued by an aging hero, Maze, who trains you to become this hero. And
trains you in melee combat. Try to get your multiplier even higher.
The voiceovers in this game were really kind of like...
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. So he sees potential in you, brings you on, and you are his apprentice. But the big thing with Fable was that it was a game that put morality and your choices with that first and foremost. It was one of those things where, were you going to be a good hero, or were you going to fall to become a villain? And that was the big pull with Fable, outside of the traditional RPG skill building and different things like that. But yeah, it was all, do you become this hero, or do you become this villain? Because the plot will drastically change and the outcomes that happen between those two. So,
I've never played through as a bad character, so that would be interesting to actually go back and play through as a bad character. I always tried to be good.
Right. I mean, that's how, with most games like that, that's kind of how I am too. Red Dead's a big proponent of that.
I feel like Fable was the progenitor of a whole generation of games. I think it was like a 10-year span where you saw a bunch of games coming out with these like kind of binary morality
and
systems.
We'll kind of actually touch on that. I have a question that I do want to bring up about this. So put a pin in that, and I will come back to that. But
it's keeping us on task, folks.
You goddamn right I am.
He's cracking the whip. Did you hear
Somebody's got to fucking crack the whip around here. My God.
He's got to get through these facts before we can actually talk about the games.
Exactly. I got all these facts. So, it was positively received both critically, fanfare, and commercially. It did receive an expansion, if you want to call DLC, called Fable Lost Chapters, both on PC and Xbox, that include all the contents from the base game, additional new content such as 9 new areas, 16 additional story-based missions, new monsters, weapons, all that jazz. And then what we're talking about really today is the Anniversary Edition. So the Anniversary Edition of Fable came out for the 10-year anniversary in 2014 for Fable on Xbox 360, and it was an HD remaster based off of the last chapters. Basically, you're getting the definitive edition of this game. So, but it was available on 360, PC, via Steam. So, and it featured overhauled graphics, new audio, new save system, along with Xbox achievements. So, but it was kind of mixed commercially. It sold pretty well. People liked it. The fans liked the overhaul of the graphics. They were still finding bugs in it that were from the base game. They were seeing, while these visuals are great, on especially the Xbox 360 and the console version of it, the frame rates were not very good. They were struggling to get like 30 frames per second, which granted, I'm playing this on Xbox One and Xbox One X. It helps a little bit. You don't have to worry about that. But in 2014, you're playing on your Xbox 360. That is a hindrance. I mean, I think, me personally, 30 frames minimum is like bare. That you should, every game should be at least 30 frames per second.
Right.
But, anyways, with that being said, let's go into our topical questions now. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you categorize the faces of the kids in Fable on being nightmare fuel? Because they are fucking creepy. The, like, bug-eyed, like, "Oi, governor, come with me!"
Are you talking about, like, the beginning chapters?
Yes.
Or, like, the beginning whenever you're, like, fighting off the bully?
Those models do not hold up.
What's worse, them or the ones from Pathologic? Go ahead, Adam, your answer on the number system first.
What is 10 being the scariest?
Yes, absolutely.
They were like definitely a 7 or 8 for
Oh,
me.
yeah.
They're like Uncanny Valley.
Yes,
And
exactly.
The big meaty mitten hands they have. Were like
meaty claws!
Did they have the fused fingers, or was that, am I misremembering?
They just, they really liked baking at that point in history, so they were like, "Oh, come here, little Jennifer. We're going to make your hands oven mitts so you can go out and you won't make the baked goods."
It was, I don't know, it was weird. And the whole Cockney accent thing and the British humor really permeated the whole game. I think it gave it a charm that set it apart from, like, at least it wasn't a totally bland medieval fantasy setting.
Like every other one.
Yeah, at least it was like, it was a comedy game kind of at the heart of it. Like, it didn't take itself seriously too often. And so I think the ridiculous models contribute to that a bit.
With that being said, I don't want to fucking hear one word from any of you, and I mean any of you, about, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, how cringe is all of those faces? Oh my god, blah, 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 blah. You know how far apart these fucking games were? Like, 12 months, if that. Like, really, if we're being technical, if this is based off the Lost Chapters, that came out in September 2005. We're talking 6 months. I don't want to fucking hear jack shit. This is like, and this is no offense, because I do like this game, those face models on those kids, that is the peak. That is the peak. Oblivion.
Thank you, kind sir.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that, just because they, may, go into a frown real quick after they're done with their, talking. I don't want to.
That's, part of the good part of the game.
Because your disposition is low.
Like, if you sit there and you, piss them off, and you're, they can't make facial features when they're talking to be mad at you. So they'll just be going through and they'll be like, yeah, this is this, and this is that, and this is that. And they're, all happy with you. And then all of a sudden they just go, they're, mean-mugging the shit out of you.
Right.
If you haven't, this is kind of a tangent. It'll be a quick one, though. If you haven't seen LaFave Brothers on YouTube with their Oblivion in real life videos,
Oh, yes. Hell
you need to do yourself a favor and go watch those.
Just binge through all of them. They're great.
They perfectly capture that, like, having a conversation, stop talking, and then just scowl.
Didn't they actually make, like, one, like, just a few years ago, too? Or, like, semi-recently?
Yeah, they've made a newer one.
Yeah, Oblivion in Real Life 2 came out recently. They got one of the original voice actors from the game to be...
Really?
Yeah, his name was Wes something. I don't remember. He's in there
I'll have to
now.
go.
The one where they eat the poisoned apple and you just...
Into the chair.
They're classic. But that's not the game we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fable for me, these kids are like a 9.
Yeah, it's up there. They're just... I forgot how bad they were until you boot up the game, and I'm like... Literally, like, Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof. Like, that's... Ugh. Anyway, on more serious topics here. So, let me open up with this first, quote-unquote, serious topic, because let's just be honest, this podcast isn't that serious.
We have fun.
We have fun.
Yeah.
We have fun. We're three wild and crazy dudes.
What's better than this?
Yeah,
Guys being dudes.
Guys being dudes. Alright. Back on track before the train gets off the rails too much. So, the hero-villain scale isn't brand new to games. But, when it comes to Fable, it was, in that time period, it was relatively new within that launch window of 2004. What in Fable drew you away from the straight and narrow, kind of like what Mike's saying, he never played a bad character, but what in Fable drew you away from that straight and narrow path that made you want to go down an evil story, find out what that was? What's rewarding with that? Like, what in the game made you want to do that?
I think in 2004, it was almost this, like, Grand Theft Auto type appeal.
I was just thinking
like,
of that.
Yeah. Just like, well, here's this system, and you could play it this way, but the game allows you to, and it encourages you to just like, fuck around. Like, this is your toy box.
You're rewarded for doing that. Like, where in Grand Theft Auto, if you just blow shit up and you start going on a rampage, you're either killed or you're thrown in jail or whatever.
Well, that's fun in its own right.
It is, but that's all it is. Cut and dry, and then
Fable
you die
takes it
and
a step
start.
further.
Where Fable's like, okay, well, there's going to be, ramifications for that. So, and that's, in 2004, that's unheard of. What, you're playing Vice City, and you just take the bike and you start spraying an Uzi. Yeah, you kill some people, but then you die and you just end up at the hospital. And
you don't have any real lasting consequences.
Right. It's kind of like fictional, like, daydream. That you're just like, I wonder what would happen if I do this.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good. Let's keep going. But
you load your save after killing the whole village, and you're like, alright, I don't want to do that.
That's every NPC's worst nightmare. Is seeing you do the manual save.
Quick save.
Like, just hard saving, and you're just like, you're gonna get yours, bitch. Just wait.
But yeah, it was like, it not only gave you lasting consequences for taking evil actions as opposed to good ones, which I think most people are inclined to do when they're playing seriously.
Yeah.
But in some cases, it was almost more incentivized. Like, I can remember playing in the base game on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It was really hard for me. Maybe I just wasn't playing right and I was too young. But, like, it was hard for me to afford, like, the best greatsword you could buy in Balmora. In North Bowerstone.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the fiery greatsword or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you played as a good guy, I thought it was hard to have enough money to afford it by the time it was, like, still a viable weapon. But if you played an evil character, you could easily make enough money to buy it at, like, a timely...
Fun fact, you can actually, like, really early in the game, to show you how kind of buggy this version of the game is, the anniversary, is very easy to clip in and just get the sword, like, right off the bat.
No kidding.
There's a video I'll link it in the description. This one YouTube account, the name escapes me right now, but I was watching it earlier today just as I was kind of refreshing myself, getting ready for the show. But it was hilarious, the breakdown that he did of just all the different things where it's very satirical, where he's just like, I do love this game, but man, I just love whenever you could do this. And I love whenever you could have a whole brothel and you could just kill people and then make them pay rent for their house. But anyways.
It's a sandbox.
Yeah, it is.
It was one of the first of its kind where it kind of explored that, like, it's kind of a cartoony binary, like, you can either be the good guy who helps the village, or you could be, like, cartoonishly evil and kick puppies and stuff like that. But it was fun in its own right, and it definitely went off to spawn a generation of games with binary moral systems. But it was fun for what it was, and it gave you a good incentive to try both sides.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
And it could be grindy, because, like, you could get stronger. Like, as a character, you could make him stronger, where you would do more damage. You could use more of your points on your magic spell. Like, you can do different things in this game. that made it like a true RPG, but it was still kind of mainstreamed pretty well
Yeah.
for its time.
It was like, depending on how good you were at the game, if your combat, like, literally, they kept reminding you.
Trying to make your
constantly.
combat multiply and go even higher.
There was a good reason for that. And it was, if you played well, you could level up way faster. It's
Right.
like, when you pull in the general experience, whatever your multiplier is, like, you get that much more XP, so you can just dump that into your skills faster.
Exactly.
No, definitely. Well, kind of piggybacking off that, too. So, we're in 2004. We're in a post-Morrowind world because, and I say that because Morrowind was really the first true, quote-unquote, RPG experience to come to consoles in terms of, as we referred to in the past, a hardcore RPG.
That sold a lot of Xboxes, for sure.
100%, because they were able to transition a legitimate PC RPG experience on the console in a way that was fluid, that was second nature. So, imagine that. We're in a post-Morrowind world, and console RPGs in the mid-2004s are starting to become more common, starting to bloom into what they are now in these household staples. I mean, RPGs are so commonplace on consoles at this point. So, with that being said, though, Fable is such the series that people keep, asking for it and wondering where it is and all these different things, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes, but where does Fable, specifically this first one, kind of sit in terms of importance to the genre on home consoles specifically? How important is this series and this game specifically? Would you put that on a Mount Rushmore of console RPG experiences?
At least Microsoft experience.
Like forefront, like being at the forefront of this.
Yeah. For a time, it was the Microsoft console RPG that they were putting out there. Like, Fable had a run through the Xbox 360 where it was like a first-party title, more or less.
Like Fable 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Fable 2 by that point was first party. Lionhead was 100% first party. I think they were bought in like 2006 by Microsoft. So this first one was it was published by Microsoft. So in all intents and purposes, it was it was an Xbox exclusive or Microsoft exclusive.
Yeah,
it just wasn't, it's kind of like the Insomniac Spider-Man Sony thing going on, where it is, but they're just not owned by them. They just have the publishing rights.
Yeah, Fable was like closely tied to the branding of the Xbox.
Yes, 1,000%.
I don't know about like the way it actually shaped the games that were made. It was definitely among the most recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
I think further on down the line, Fable kind of strayed from the path, and it sort of lost its way.
Mm-hmm.
2 and 3 were much weaker, less memorable experiences.
100%.
But the first one definitely like broke ground, and it's telling that this is the game that got an anniversary edition, whereas I don't think 2 or 3 are ever going to be revisited. Because people have a lot of fond memories in this game.
Now, Mike, let me kind of raise this to you. Do you see Fable, this first one, in comparison, I mean, obviously, to Morrowind, this is definitely a more casual experience.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's too casual for that audience who was saying, I picked up an Xbox for Halo? Probably 99% of the people did whenever they bought an Xbox, they bought Halo. But they said, oh, I found this Morrowind game. Holy shit, what have I been missing? I want to play more games like this. And then they pick up Fable, and they're like, I get it. This isn't the same as that, though. Like, do you think it caused too much of a divide on the Xbox in terms of that? Saying, like, oh, this is what we're thinking of. No, and you gotta imagine, too, we're talking 2004.
Right.
We're not talking 2019. But in 2004, do you think, with Xbox still being relatively in its infancy as a brand, do you think having that Morrowind experience gave people the impression, oh, it's going to be this way, and then when they get more Microsoft exclusive, at the time at least, RPG experiences, they're saying, oh, no, this is much different.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get the question. I just kind of formulated this in my brain. I think that people that played Morrowind probably didn't appreciate Fable as much.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Morrowind was more of like a grown-up game, and Fable was more of a childish game. And not like, I'm not trying to say it with like a negative connotation or anything, but just like, Morrowind was much more in-depth. Fable was much more streamlined, to the point where I would even compare, Fable almost to like Zelda in a way. Like,
Yes.
it's not as like older Zeldas, right? So it's not as like open world. Everything's pretty much decided for you, besides if you're evil or good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like at the time when there's all these open world games, it's a game that you're very much like bottlenecked into a few options, and that's about it. So for me, I don't think that it really like divided anybody. I think that like people that liked Morrowind probably didn't like Fable, and people who really enjoyed Fable could have enjoyed Morrowind because it was a more intense experience. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you really loved Morrowind, you might have trouble going to Fable because of how streamlined it was. It was kind of cheesy and kind of campy, like
for sure.
funny.
Absolutely.
So it's a game that, like, you know, you asked if this is on the Mount Rushmore of RPGs or Xbox RPGs, and like, it's obviously hard not to put it up there because it was one of the only ones on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the game was fine.
And I'm talking from an influential standpoint. I'm not necessarily talking the relevance it may have right this second. Because we'll touch on that in a little bit, but I'm talking about, especially for Xbox, do you think this has an influential push for RPG experiences, both casual and quote-unquote hardcore, even if you want some aspects of it?
I mean, you guys touched on it briefly, so I'm not going to harp on it any longer than I have to.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the honor system, you know, you guys were talking about good and evil, obviously groundbreaking. You guys already touched up on that, so I'm not going to really beat a dead horse. Mm-hmm. That's true. I think that did change a lot of things. Like, we covered Fallout 3 before, and obviously we saw a lot of good things come with that Fallout 3, but I feel like it did get, like, the good and evil partially from this. Mm-hmm. As a game itself, I can't see that it did a ton that's like, oh my god, this game was so amazing that the RPG landscape has changed forever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game for one playthrough. Outside of one playthrough, to me, it's just like, I could go back now. It's been years since like I did a full playthrough where I played the game.
Yeah.
You know, I've played the game recently because I have it on Steam, so, you know, I fumbled through it a little bit and got kind of far. But, like, I could sit down from, like, now and just finish the game, and I would enjoy it again, but to me, it's, like, not a game where, like, I'm not telling people, like, you have to play Fable.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good game, and you probably should, but if I'm like, hey, have you ever played Fable? And people are like, nah, I wouldn't be like, what? How have you never played that?
Right, you'd be like, oh, okay, if you dig that, I'd say play it. But you're not like, dude, you gotta run out and buy this right now.
I'm not like, you have to go buy this right now and play it, bro. Nah, that's not me. So, I think that Bethesda took some things from Fable and incorporated into the games, specifically in the Fallout series, because obviously in the Elder Scrolls series, we don't see much of it. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's just like, it was important for Xbox at the time because they needed more RPGs on their system. But outside of that, it's nothing like, it's not groundbreaking to me.
Yeah.
I want to pick up on a thread that Mike kind of left open there, and that's starting with the comparison to Morrowind, and I want to follow that through to like its relationship with Elder Scrolls down the line. I think Fable and Elder Scrolls Morrowind kind of came from two different progenitors. The Elder Scrolls before Morrowind and including Morrowind was definitely like inspired by tabletop role playing. Like, it was a very, this is someone's D&D campaign that was like put into a video game and like really fleshed out. Like, even through the mechanics in the background, like swinging your weapon is a roll of a D20 that has a chance to hit.
Right.
And all of the kind of underlying mechanics are very deeply rooted in that D&D experience. If you look at Lionhead and Blue Box, was it?
Yeah, Blue Box.
Specifically with Peter Molyneux's direction, I feel like his pedigree was from like sim type games or god type games.
Yeah, I mean Black and White.
Yeah, Black and White. You look at Bullfrog Studios' library and sort of the catalog that they had built up. I feel like they were approaching the RPG from a sim-like perspective. You have a game like Fable where, like, yeah, you fight people and you level up your character and there's progression. Moral system was kind of novel, but a lot of it is very sim-like. Like, you have the ability to get married, buy and rent properties, and like do. This was a small part. I don't think many people did it. But you could do like inter-settlement trading, like where you could like make a profit off of buying low in one village and selling high in another.
And we'll talk. I actually have a couple points on the economy system.
Yeah, and like character customization and all this other stuff that points to it having this like simulation DNA. Whereas Elder Scrolls up until this point has all been about like hardcore tabletop RPG DNA. When you start looking at games like Skyrim, I think it almost starts to take after the mold that Fable left, where you have more sim-like elements, more kind of like fantasy wish fulfillment that's not just about a typical RPG experience, but you have like, what's the expansion where you can build a house in Skyrim? Like, that's a thing.
Is that Dragonborn? No,
Hearthfire?
Hearthfire?
Was it Hearthfire?
Something like that.
That's gonna bug me. That's really gonna bug me. It's not Dragonborn. I think it might be Hearthfire.
Yeah.
I think.
Where you could, like, gather materials and build your own house. And this may have come from, like, the predominance of crafting games before Skyrim came out. But there was also, like, you could have a set number of NPCs that you could get married to. And
Hearthfire.
Hearthfire was right? Okay. And Morrowind had this to an extent, but, like, Skyrim was more encouraging of that kind of, like, just wanton destruction for the fun of it type of gameplay.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in Morrowind, you were more punished for it. It was like, oh, man, you went and killed one of the main questline characters. Like, they'd let you continue playing in your broken world, but it wasn't really recommended. It was like you're breaking the rules.
Yeah.
So I think, in the long run, Elder Scrolls might have started to take after Fable almost too late. And I don't know if they took the right lessons. Like, a lot of the ways that Skyrim went off the rails in terms of an Elder Scrolls game, most people would say is like, oh, you're getting away from the core of an RPG, and that's what they really liked.
Right. Almost if it's even a word, casualization.
Yeah, casualization, streamlining, dumbing down. Like, these are terms that get tossed around a lot.
Right.
And if you can tie that to taking after Fable, maybe its influence wasn't as much of a good thing, but it's still influential.
No, for sure. Absolutely. So kind of pulling on a thread that you kind of touched on there, Adam, in terms of the economy in Fable. So Fable's economy, it really had the opportunity to be kind of manipulated in crazy ways that really you didn't see in gaming at that point, especially on a home console, for sure. From owning brothels to real estate, and you can go and fucking kill somebody, and then the family have to sell the house and use the money to pay for a funeral, so then you buy the house, and then you charge them rent to come back in it. Like, it's crazy what you can manipulate and could ruin the whole economy in the game, realistically, that you didn't see that, especially in 2004.
I think there was also some bug where you could just go to a store and buy up all of a certain good and then sell it back to them because the demand was increased.
Selling it back, you would make more money. Yes, 100%. But with modern games continuously asking for more immersive gameplay aspects, that's all you ever hear about is, the immersion in this game and the realism and this and that. And not that I'm saying this economy is realistic, but you get what I'm saying. Why haven't we seen similar robust mechanics in terms of economy and things like that in gaming in 2019 and even moving forward?
I guess it depends on where you're looking. I can think of a couple games that do have sort of an economy that you can participate in that's dynamic, whereas something like Skyrim, the prices are pretty much going to be fixed wherever you go. Like, a potion is 50 gold no matter where you are. There are some games sort of off the beaten path of what we're discussing right now that do have economies that can be influenced in game and even exploited to the level that Fable was. If you look at something like, I don't know, Mount and Blade, which is a PC title, and I think they have a sequel coming out that may be on consoles.
I think you're right.
I think
almost positive.
Bannerlord might be getting a console release. That's a game with, like, medieval economic manipulation that you can see. I'm sure that's something that people will be interested in.
Yeah.
Then you've got, like, MMO economies, which is a whole other can of worms. I don't know if it's even worth getting into. I don't know much about it. I just know that it is a thing, and that MMO economies have been used to model and study real-world economies. I just don't know that it's that much of...
Yeah, Mountain Blade Warband coming to PS4.
Yeah, okay. I just don't know that economics is worth it enough for a developer to implement. Like, from a perspective of what's the value that the player is going to get out of it, weighed against the cost that it's going to take us to implement this. Like, I don't know. I can't think of any examples right now in a console situation where it's really been done recently.
Yeah.
Again, maybe Mountain Blade 2 will still have that kind of thing, and maybe it'll be a big success on console. I think it still is mostly appealing to a PC crowd, though, and it's branching out.
So, with that being said, then, what are some different gameplay aspects, and this is just kind of shooting from the hip because I'm curious now, what are some gameplay aspects you guys would want to see that really haven't been touched before in gaming? I'm just curious, since we're kind of heading down that path, a little bit of a tangent. Like, what are some modern aspects in games that really haven't been touched before that you would want to see brought to modern games that are kind of different like this that you really don't see in anything else that would kind of be interesting, that may parody real life, may not. Just out of curiosity. I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, if we're talking about gameplay features that haven't really been done in a way that I think they could be done, if you're talking about today's first-person shooters, and it's a dying genre, so I'm probably the only person that feels like this, but they've done cover, and they've done leaning, and things of that nature. But I think that you should be able to be, like, if it was a campaign-heavy experience, like, kind of like the new Ghost Recon that's coming out, if there's not a whole lot of adversarial, because I could understand why the hitboxes would be really funky for, like, trying to play it in a competitive scene, but kind of combining leaning and taking cover behind walls and, like, allowing your player to kind of creep up on a wall and, like, peek out very, like, just a little bit to where you just expose yourself. So giving a true first-person experience in using cover. So, like, Rainbow Six Vegas, Gears of War, you could use cover, but it was obviously third person. Well, this is like a first-person experience where you walk up onto a wall and your character would, like, kind of put his hand on the wall, and you would start holding in, like, your right on the D-pad to start leaning out, and you would expose yourself from behind the wall a little bit, but you could just lean out just a little bit to where you wouldn't have your gun exposed. And if you just want to peek and do things like that, I think that that's something that, like, kind of like almost like a Velcro mechanic on it, where you would just kind of, like, get onto the wall. I could see why it would be difficult to do, but I think that'd be really cool to see from a first-person shooter like Spectrum, like something like that nature.
So you're saying it's like more versatility from a stuck point.
Yeah, like
from
like you don't just press A
from a pinned
and
point
lay on the wall, like,
right?
You know, like a game that kind of does it is like Siege, but you know, I'm talking like Siege, like you don't get up on the wall, you're just kind of behind it, right? I'm saying like playing, like even like, you know, it could even be a horror game. Like, let's say the Blair Witch Project, and Outlast actually kind of did it, if you want to count Outlast as doing it a little bit, but using the walls in, like, you're in first-person mode, and you're not, like, stuck to the wall, Velcroed to it, but your character moves, like, dynamically around these corners and these walls, and makes it feel less boxy and less awkward.
Kind of like, only obviously in first-person, but kind of like in the Batman Arkham games. Where you could get on a corner, and you could see around, and you could slowly kind of, like, look out a little bit, and then if you wanted to hit from the side, you can do a batarang or something, but only in first person, where you can know you're stuck on that point, but you could kind of, like, control how much you look out and things like that.
But you're not stuck to the wall, so you could even back away from the wall to change the angle a little bit, so you don't have to expose yourself as much. Like in real life, like walk up to a corner in your house and, like, stand up close to it, and then start backing away a little bit, and just give it a little lean. You expose yourself less when you're further back, and you just take a little lean, versus when you're up close and you lean out like this. If you back up, you get to see more, and there's more that you can take in, and it's a lot safer. Something like that I would really enjoy to see.
Cool. So, moving into our final topical discussion surrounding Fable, I want to throw this out there to you guys. So, Fable 4 has all but basically been confirmed. Everybody and their mother in terms of gaming media has said so, and I believe at one point even supposedly Mixer accidentally leaked that Fable 4 was coming out, or they had a listing for Fable 4 within being directly from Microsoft. A lot of things were lining up for it, and the big rumor being that Playground Studios, who handles the Forza, or as Mike likes to correct everyone, Forza, oi governor! But that they will be handling the series moving forward, since obviously Lionhead's no more. So, what the hell does a Fable game look like on a modern, or I'm sure by this point next-gen, console? And I'm not necessarily saying visually, but I'm saying gameplay pool, plot, like what kind of story, what kind of game would Fable 4 be? I mean, definitely nothing wrong with the game. As we've said in previous episodes, we will play games no matter what the age is on them, as long as they're fun to play. It doesn't matter. A game is a game is a game. Like, it doesn't matter when it was made, and it doesn't matter the aesthetic. As long as the game's fun to play, that's all that really matters at the end of the day, first and foremost. But you can definitely feel playing Fable Anniversary, and from what I remember of 2 and 3, even then, they were dated. They feel dated. They felt
did not age well.
No, they did not age well. And that's it's still a fun game, but is very much you can feel the age on the game. So, with that being said, if Fable 4 is coming, what the hell can Fable 4 look like? Like, what the hell would make people want to say, that's it, that's an exclusive, that's why I want to go and buy an Xbox for it. It may be something drastic. It may be a first-person RPG experience or a Divinity-esque isometric experience. Who knows? Yeah. Because I know they had a co-op game in development at one point with Fable that was going to come out on Xbox One. And
it was going to be like an asymmetric tower defense kind of
game.
Game.
Something like that. So who knows? And it was scrapped, but they had a full demo ready of it, and they had assets for it. So who knows? Like, what do you guys think? Like, what does a new Fable in 2019 and beyond look like?
I'll say that if a Fable 4 is going to succeed today, it would have to look something like this. This is just my prediction.
Let's hear it.
I would say that it would have to do something similar to what Breath of the Wild did for the Zelda series.
So like a reinvention.
It was kind of a reinvention, and it was kind of a return to its original roots, where structurally Breath of the Wild is very similar to the first Zelda game, where you could kind of approach the challenges out there in the world almost in any order once you got past the first area. So that was one thing. They were looking at their old DNA and saying, what made this appealing in the first place? For Fable, I think that DNA is the comedy of the game, kind of the lighthearted, mischievous, like almost juvenile nature of it.
Like kind of slapstick.
It is very slapstick. Yeah. But also, Breath of the Wild looked at other games that were being made at the time and said, what are they doing that Zelda has never done before that might fit with our aesthetic, or that might fit with our gameplay philosophy? So, like, one thing that Breath of the Wild brought in was, like, the crafting and the cooking, which works really well.
Yeah.
Because, in addition to the weapon durability system, there was kind of this, like, constant need for you to be, like, gathering resources and getting prepared for whatever fight you had to go into next, which was never really a thing with Zelda. Like, at most, you would chop some bushes and refill your arrows and bombs, or find rupees so you could go buy a potion or something. If Fable looks out to what other games are doing and tries to incorporate more modern RPG techniques, I think it might stand a better chance of succeeding in the near future. If Fable 4 gets released soon, I think it's going to have to maintain that spirit that made the first game really appealing. Try to leave behind any like story baggage or like the weird stuff that they tried out with Fable 2 and 3 that didn't really work.
Yeah,
like,
which we'll eventually cover one day.
I feel like the dog companion didn't quite work in 2 and 3 as much as they might have wanted it to. It felt tacked on, and like it didn't offer you much benefit. I don't know, just stuff like that. It has to kind of do equal parts innovating and returning to its roots.
And I think most series that do become reboots and things of that nature, I think that is just the formula. That is, I think that's the only, not the only way, but I think that's the easiest way to succeed.
And there's a lot of pitfalls there. It's easy to like try to go shopping in the mechanic cafeteria for like, you know, something that's hot right now that you think will work for your game, but like you have to consider whether or not it really does work with your game. Like, I don't know if Fable is going to work with a battle royale in it just because that's the trend.
Hey, you don't tell Todd Howard that with Fallout 76, man.
I guess not, but I mean, if it's working for Fallout, I don't know, is it working for Fallout?
I don't know.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet lies.
Do they have a player base?
Is anybody there?
What do you think, Mike?
This question, like, Fallout 4, Fallout 4. You were talking about Todd Howard. Fable 4, if true, big if true, I think that it has to take more of a cinematic DNA to try to get some of the PS4 fanboys over for it. You know, there's people that really enjoy those type of cinematic experiences where they have a little bit of gameplay, they hit 3 buttons, and then a big cinematic plays, and they're like, "Woo, I did it, Daddy!"
Stop personally attacking me.
And it's like, okay, cool, dude, you solved one puzzle. Do you want a cookie? But maybe. I think that if Fable 4 takes that role on, it might be good. I echo your guys' sentiments about 2 and 3. I feel like Fable, as a game, the first one did some good things, and to me is like a 6 out of 10 as a game. Then Fable 2, I feel like they started like trying to be too fancy and change things just for the sake of changing things. So Fable 2 goes down to like a 5.3 for me, and then Fable 3 is like a 3. So like as a series, I just feel like as it went on, the first one was okay. And as it went on, it lost its identity and got worse and worse. So for Fable 4, they kind of have a clean slate because the last two were so bad. I feel like they can really do something special. I think if they get to more of a cinematic thing, get back to, like Adam was saying, the campy humor, the slapstick humor that Travis iterated about in the first one, I think if it gets more back to that and we have more of a cinematic experience, I think that Fable 4 would be a lot better, and it might do, what they're hoping it can do for the Xbox as a whole. But this is a game that I'm not holding my breath for because the last two were so bad. I wasted $120 on two games that were just not very good.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a game that if it hits Xbox Game Pass, I'll probably play it. But other than that, probably not.
Well, if it's a Microsoft exclusive, or if it's a Xbox Game Studios game, which it would be, then it'd be coming to Game Pass.
Yeah.
So. But no, I echo the same sentiment. I think it needs to be more cinematic because that's what single player experiences tend to be in 2019 and moving forward. I jokingly say that a few minutes ago to Mike, you personally attacked, and maybe it's just the movie buff in me that I do like the cinematic experiences, which there's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, too, I am somebody who, when I'm playing an RPG experience, I do want my story, but I want my mechanics, I want my gameplay, I want my customization, I want deep layers. I don't want, when I'm playing Uncharted, I want Uncharted. I want my popcorn action flick that has a hell of a story, but I know what I'm getting out of it. I know what I'm going in for. I know what I'm expecting with that. It is, I'm playing Indiana Jones, and I don't expect Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 5, whenever I'm playing Uncharted, where if I'm playing Oblivion, or Morrowind, or an Elder Scrolls, quote-unquote, or Fallout, or whatever have you, that are at least more in line with that, I know what I'm getting out of it. I'm getting some story, but the main pull is the customization, the combat, all the things, the living, breathing world that you're encompassed in, not necessarily super set in its ways cinematics. But I think for Fable 4 to succeed as a single-player experience, and if they will continue to lean down the casual route of action RPG experiences, I think they have to lean heavy into the cinematics. But still do have some hints of and shades of previous titles having skills you can buy. I'm sure there'll be a skill tree, and I'm sure there will be different ways to improve your character and loot and different things like that. But have a more, it's going to be more streamlined. It's definitely not going to lean more into a traditional RPG, if anything. So, with that being said, Mike, it's your favorite time, man. What do you think we're about to do?
I better be doing the damn Gamecast Casino so I can get back in the winner's column.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're going into the Gamecast Casino. Play the Sonic the Hedgehog music.
He's 0 for 2 going into round 3.
Fuck off.
So, if you're a new listener, this is the Gamecast Casino, our segment in which we play a sort of revision on Blackjack, where I throw up a statement with a quantity attached to it, and my two contestants, Adam Marsh and Mike Peapack, will either say hit or stay to see how close you can get to that number before going over. So, if they do hit, I want to know how far you're going. If you want to stay, you stay. Big thing is, you don't want to go over. So, contestants, are we ready?
Yes.
So, in most contests, we go with winner goes first. And with that being said, Adam is our back-to-back champ right now. I'm just throwing that in there because I know it gets under Peapack's skin just a little, just a tiny.
Go ahead, keep throwing it out there.
Tiny.
Go ahead, keep letting me know.
With that being said,
When's the last time you ever beat me in wiffle ball, huh, Bob?
Listen, I told you not to bring it up, man. Come on. We gotta talk about this off air. Anyways, let's go into question 1. Question 1. There are 17 classes, excluding the apprentice class that you start out within Fable. So, Adam, are you staying or hitting? And if you're hitting, what do you go to?
Classes are... You don't spec into classes. It's kind of just the game evaluates what your playstyle is like. It's how much melee do you use, or how many melee skills have you bought. So I'm going to say it's more than 17. I'm going to hit up to 30. 30.
Okay. Mike, there are 17.
I'm gonna stay.
Staying.
Staying at 17. He went over. Easy clap.
Final answers?
Final answer.
Final answer.
Alright. There are 24. Classic. The apprentice class. And Mike is on the board first.
Let's go, bitch.
All right. Overshot the first one.
Bringing it back, baby.
All right. Going to Mike this time. Question 2. In Fable, you can have one spouse for your character.
Are you talking about Fable 1 exclusively?
Yes. This is Fable 1. This is the game. We're covering Fable Anniversary in all intents and purposes. Fable, the original title.
I'm gonna stay.
Stay.
Stay in.
Staying at 1. Adam, you gonna hit? You gonna stay? And if you are hitting, what do you go to?
I'm gonna hit and say it's 5.
5.
5 is my answer.
Final answers?
Final answer.
Final answers. In Fable, you can have 6 spouses for your character.
I knew it was like one for every region. There's a town where you can get a house.
Yes. Plus,
I didn't think.
what's her name?
Lady Grey.
Yes.
I thought
So technically
I forgot the first one. I thought you could only be with Lady Grey. I got confused because I got confused with the second and third ones. Like, you could have a bunch if you wanted to in the second and third ones. But I thought that the first one you could only have Lady Grey.
Fair
bitch.
enough. Fair enough. All right. Adam, coming back to you. The hero in Fable can learn 12 unique spells.
I'm gonna stay. I think it's 12.
Staying at 12. Final answer.
Final answer.
Final answer. Mike.
I'm gonna hit and go to 14.
Hit
Final
go to
answer.
14. You almost did The Price is Right. Almost.
Price is Right.
You almost. What was the last?
What was the last answer, Drew?
Alright, add 1. Alright. Final answer.
Yes.
All right,
Or Bob, if you're a real one.
Yes, true. Alright. The hero in Fable can learn 16 unique spells.
He's got
Yeah, baby.
Mike takes the lead as he tortures Adam's cat.
You know what? Lost Chapters added morality-based spells, didn't they? It was like
Yes.
if you were good, you could cast one.
Yes.
There were like 2 flavors of the same spell, but even then, I would have been off by 2.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Alright, so going into question 4. Are we ready, gentlemen?
I'm ready.
Well, Mike plays
Mike is
with the
playing
cat.
with Momo.
I'm good. Ask the question.
Alright. In Fable Anniversary, the player can visit 5 towns. Mike, you're going to
Adam already gave me the answer. I'm gonna stay at 5.
How do you figure?
You said you can marry one in every town, plus Lady Grey was 6.
Ooh.
Stay at 5.
In Fable Anniversary,
Stay at 5.
final
Final
answer.
answer. Thanks for giving me the answer, bitch.
I feel like there's a town in Lost Chapters where you can't get away from. I'm gonna say you can visit 6 towns.
Saying 6 towns.
Yes.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Alright. The player in Fable Anniversary can visit 5 towns.
Oh, God. That means I clinched it, right? It's GG in this bitch.
Technically,
It's GG.
in
I
that
say-
case though, do you want to risk it all? You want to do one final question, winner take all?
Does I mean winner take me? I think he's got it.
I know, but I'm saying I have one more question. He already clinched it. Do you want to? You're the gambler. We got a question.
No,
5.
I win. What
Okay.
risk? What benefit do I get?
I'm
Well,
just
he's
saying.
ahead.
I'm just saying. I know you have that itch that only one thing can scratch, and that's fucking gambling. So
I'm more of a winner than a gambler.
okay, all right.
I've won.
Fair enough.
Do you guys want to at least do the last
Let's
question?
hear the
Yes,
last one for
we're still
fun.
going to do the last question.
All right.
Always. Even if I'm winning 4-0, I want to hear the last
All
question.
right. So, during Fable's original development cycle, it had 125 people working on the project, making it one of the biggest development teams at the time for gaming.
Just using like big round numbers here, I'm gonna say that it was more like 175.
Trav, what was the last answer given?
175.
Add one more to that, please.
Alright, during Fable's original development cycle, it had 150 people working on it.
So
Which
we
is
both
still
blow.
crazy. Like,
That's a lot.
That's a lot of fucking... And that's like whenever they were working on the Dreamcast one still.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot.
It's a lot of...
I don't think 150 people bought Dreamcasts.
No, that's the thing.
Hey, I had one.
Yeah, you did have one. Yeah, it was you,
crazy taxi.
it was you and one other kid in the neighborhood, and that was it.
Who else had it?
Johnny Macheski.
Jesus Christ, he would, huh?
Yeah, I didn't want to put you in that same...
What was that weird, like, third-person shooter with all the woodland animals? It was on a demo.
Oh, Conky?
Was
Or
it?
not Conky. It was
Conky.
Conker's Bad
Conkers?
Fur Day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a Conker game.
You're saying Conky.
I did accidentally slip Conky. Oh, my Julian. My sweet and sexy Julian looks so fucking sexy in Roadhouse and Dirty Dancing.
Alright, hey, we're going into our final segment, ladies and gentlemen. We're going into Cash It, Pass It, Acid. And I think this will be one of our first real divisive ones in terms of what we think of overall for the game. So, if you're new to the show, this is where we tell you to either basically, do you want to buy it, rent it, or stay away from it? I'm going to open up with my thoughts first. Let you guys kind of, say your piece with it before we close out here. Personally, I wouldn't cash it. I don't want to say acid because I think it is important if you're an Xbox fan, a long-term Xbox fan, to have this, not on your Xbox, but have this available to play if you want to, especially if you are a long-term fan of the series or if you're somebody who is getting reacquainted to gaming and you're trying to catch up with the history of Xbox and you hear of the new Fable coming out and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of remember that. Maybe I should go back and play that old one. That I can understand wanting to have that game. So I want to say pass it. I don't feel comfortable saying acid, but at the same time, I definitely don't feel comfortable saying cash it. So it's going to be a pass it for me overall. Mike, what do you think?
If I had to choose, and I had a gun to put to my head, which is how I'm going to do this from now on,
Mm-hmm. Smart man.
I would say, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time on the podcast, I want to ask it.
Oh my god.
I want to ask this game, but it's
The first set of cheeks on the show.
in the year 2019. Yes, I'm asking it.
There you go.
I'm asking it. I don't think you need to go back and play it if you don't want to. The Fable franchise is dead. Fable 4 is going to suck. The game's dead. The whole franchise is dead.
Both cheeks out the window.
We're done.
There's no need
Open
to
up
clap
them-
them cheeks.
open up wide, boy. You're getting more shit from this Fable franchise. So let's just move right along to the next game because this one you don't want to bother playing. By God!
Oh man.
First time ever on this
About to
podcast.
end Peter Molyneux's whole wait. He's already done.
R.I.P. So, Adam, I feel like maybe you won't be as cut and dry as Mike was with it, but what do you think? I feel like you have maybe a little more affinity for this game.
I might, but the reality of it is that for the first time we've hit on an RPG that has nostalgia for me, but it is not a well that I return to on a regular basis. So this might be a passive for me. This is a game that you'll probably want to play through just once, maybe twice if you want to check out like both the evil and the good playthroughs. But other than that, like, there's not much to be gained by replaying it because it is mostly linear. There's nothing you're gonna miss, really, unless you're like, really adamant about not doing side quests. There's really nothing to be learned from this game by playing it multiple times. It doesn't have really deep themes or anything like that. So go ahead and pass it, put it on, grab it for Game Pass, play it through it once or twice, and then you can forget about it. Like, it's history. Just file it away in the old vault. It might have been influential, but there's no need to be playing it in 2020. So get it done this year, pass it, and then
The expiration date has been laid out. We got an expiration.
The milk's gonna go sour
Yeah.
pretty soon. We'll see how Fable 4 turns out. I don't really have high hopes, but I mean,
But you had to have high hopes for a living.
we'll see if it's gonna make a killing.
Wow.
I think I agree with you on the expiration date, though. I personally enjoyed the game. I think that if you transported me back in 2004, you have to play it. But in 2019, I just don't think you're missing anything by missing it.
For what it was in 2004, it was pretty revolutionary.
Well,
Overall,
I'm not saying that the game's not great, but I also kind of am... Let me elaborate on my ass just for a brief minute. Let me elaborate on my ass with this a little bit, okay? If I had to go, like, the reason why I am asking this game is because it's going to make you want to play Fable 2 and 3, because you're like, it has to get better, right? Well, guess what? It doesn't. It gets worse.
It's a trap.
And all it does is put you into never-ending misery and despair. So please do not play this game, ask this game, because all you're going to do is think, hey, I'm going to go get Fable 2 and Fable 3. It's okay, right? No, it's not. It's not. And the cat agrees with me.
Yeah. The cat was like, the hell is going on over there?
Is she chasing her tail again?
No, she was like looking, she was like, what? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
So that's my reason for asking Fable 1.
Alright then.
Well, that was
an historic moment in the Game Pass history.
That is true. That is our first ass, ladies and gentlemen. Shocker, it's from P-Pack. Couldn't have expected that.
Surely won't be the last.
Nobody's got bigger cheeks than me, baby.
You really clapped those cheeks
I
there.
clapped them.
We'll see if he turns
Getting
the other
ready
one next week.
We got about a month till the Area 51 storming, right? I'm just getting ready for that.
So are you going, before we cut out here, what team are you aligning with for Area 51? Are you going Naruto Runner? You going Cheek Clapper? Because you were clapping them cheeks.
Are you in the Kyle Brigade?
Yeah, what about the Chads? Or the Karens?
Well, my name's not Kyle, Chad, or Karen.
Well, maybe you want to talk to the manager, and you're good at doing that, so you may align with Karens.
I'm gonna go with the cheek clappers, I guess. Because I can't Naruto.
Can I roll in with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah, you could just ride on the back of, like, the Nazgul there, and you can just...
Yeah.
You're breathtaking!
I really just... I can't Naruto run, and I'm not a Kyle, Chad, or Karen, so we're clapping cheeks. I clap Fable's cheeks.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to do Area 51? Is that a game that Game Pass has?
It's not on Game Pass, but I am open to doing random games.
Okay.
We should have done Area 51 for this.
We'll open this up to listeners, too. If there's ever a random fucking game that you can think of on 360...
Something that's easily obtainable, too. Not something that, like, is hard to find.
I would like to keep it within Microsoft's lineage in terms of...
And I would like to not have to, like, use an emulator and a ROM
or buy it from, like, a Ukrainian bootlegger or something.
Yeah. As long as it's decently accessible. And even if that means... If it's a obscure game that may be even good, like, and it means paying $20, $30, that's fine. That's something maybe we can look into. But if there's ever an obscure game that you just want us to play to get our reactions to, I'm totally open to a kind of offshoot podcast for long-term listeners down the road.
As long as it's not Dark Sector.
Dark Sector.
Do you guys remember that game?
Vaguely.
It was the first game that came to mind when I was like, what is some, like, Xbox to Xbox 360 era shovelware? It was just like, you saw it out there, but you never played it, you never knew what it was about.
What was it called again?
Dark Sector? The cover art was this guy holding, like, you know the glaives that the Huntresses had in Warcraft 3? He was, like, holding one of these, and it looked like kind of not like a Bioshocky game, but it was like sci-fi or something. It was probably stupid.
The game that always comes to mind for that era is that Cameo game.
Oh yeah,
Cameo, that's it.
It was supposed to be like one of the big releases for Xbox 360, and like nobody bought it. Yeah.
That one...
Was that a Rare game?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Because they also did Perfect Dark Zero, too, right after that. And funny story, whenever that day that I texted you guys and I said I found Morrowind, the Game of the Year edition, like complete in box and everything for like $10 or whatever, I picked that up. They had that Perfect Dark Zero, the collector's edition, for $1, like in the steelbook and everything. So I picked that up. I was like, it's not worth anything, but I was like, steelbook's actually really fucking cool. Like,
yeah, that's cool. A game to me, like back then, was like that Fear, the first that first encounter game. Yeah, that game was like
Fear 2. Before, not to cut you off, Fear 2. I remember I had that and was surprisingly good at it. So that, like, in multiplayer. So that tells you how bad of a game, like, how poor of a game it was. Like, that if I was good, the aim assist on it was absolutely asinine. Like, asinine. Like, I'm very jittery when it comes to first-person shooters. So, like, I'm not half bad when it comes to playing first-person shooters on PC. but when it comes to on console and using thumbsticks, it's not great. But for me, that game, with how broken the aim assist was, it wasn't even fair, which is shocking for me. Like, I'd go and I'd be like plus like 30. That shows you how bad, like...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, on that note,
ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be our show for this
if Travis was dominating in a video game, it's fucking poor.
Exactly. Listen, I'll leave you with this little tidbit, and we'll touch on it one day, if we ever move into Nintendo gaming more centric, I guess, because it'll align more with that. But it may involve me and Glass Joe.
Oh my god.
It may involve
They're not ready for this.
A scrap with Glass Joe that may not be favorable. And that's all I'm going to say with it. So,
Last show was 1-99. His career record, 1-99, going into this fight.
So, we'll leave you with that little cliffhanger to eventually maybe be picked up one day if it ever comes time. But, with that being said, this has been the Game Pass Gamecast. As always, I'm your host, Travis White. You can find me at Travlis on most internet platforms. Twitter, at Travlis _TRAVLESS_. Twitch.tv/Travlis _ same thing as Twitter, and on Xbox Live at Travlis, just regular Travlis, no _ Adam, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at AC_Marshy. That's AC_MARSHY.
And of course, Michael Peapack, where can people find you?
At Toy Soldier, the second O is an X, TOYSXLDIER. Xbox Live, LL Toy Soldier, LL, and Twitch MP _Toy Soldier.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our episode for this week. Thank you so much for listening, viewing, sharing, all that jazz, and we will see you next week.
Cheeks, bro.
Clap 'em!